Reggie, I don't know how to phrase this, so I'm going to do it the best I can because we've had this conversation over and over again.
Yeah.
We are seeing trends at these expos and stuff like that. What system right now is dying when it comes to collecting? And so let me explain that because I didn't know how to phrase this very well.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but yeah, go ahead.
Like, is there a system that you're like, yo, people are not collecting for this thing, and this thing used to be hot, or there's
Die down, maybe?
yeah, die down, or there's a system that people just don't care about to collect at all right now as we speak
Okay.
in 2020.
I'm gonna go ahead and say Nintendo and Super Nintendo. Back when a lot of this stuff was really hot, back I want to say 2011 up to 2015. I saw that's where you saw a lot of it peak at.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people were getting the games they wanted at that time, but that has obviously passed. So they've moved on to something else. So a lot of the high dollar games, expensive games, are kind of just sitting there with people. Stuff like Lil Samson or what's the other game?
What's the one that you like?
everybody
Bucky O'Hare?
Bucky O'Hare is another expensive, but it's not expensive as Lil Samson. That's
Okay.
insane.
Oh, you're
But
talking just NES, right?
just NES for now. I'm gonna move on to Super Nintendo.
Okay. Flintstones.
Flintstones. Yeah, I don't really hear people like going after that stuff anymore because most of the people who really wanted it already got it now.
Right.
Are giving up trying to get it because they don't want to pay that money for it. At the time, during those years, I remember a lot of people were trying to go for full sets because that was a big thing. You had to go for a full set of Nintendo games and get all.
Yeah.
You remember that
Yeah.
too? Yeah, it was insane. Like I was like, wow, dude, and it's died down, but they've moved on to other things. The other system I would say is Super Nintendo. A lot of people have gotten what they want with the Super Nintendo, and they've moved on to other games. So I feel like those are the two main ones that I could think of that have died down. Now, before we go into another system,
Mm-hmm.
a system that's always hot when it comes
Yeah.
to collecting.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna laugh, but they love it, man. And at Super Smash is one of their best-selling systems, the N64.
What?
Yes,
What?
the N64.
No, I super disagree with that.
N64 is at your door, man. Everybody wants that system, man. I'm
And
telling
stop trying to sell 64 to me. Tell 64 is that
you. It's that song about that
Nintendo's-
Super, I mean, not that. Have you heard the N64 song?
No.
Oh my god, it's freaking hilarious, man. This guy, like, he's like, it goes to the kitchen to his mom, and she turns around. It's hilarious. I forgot what it's called exactly, but probably one of the most hilarious video game songs I ever heard.
Splicey that commercial in when we talk over this.
All right, well.
Hello, Mother. For Christmas, this fine year of 1996, there is only one gift I require. N64, N64, pilot wings for N64, 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 Super Mario 64.
All right, well.
Yeah.
But yeah, N64 is one of the more popular systems, man. That everybody loves. N64 was, even though it didn't impress me as much as it did other people, it was pretty revolutionary at the time with Mario being in 3D and being able to go around everywhere.
Right.
That was a big deal. And people remember that stuff and that how much fun that system was. Ocarina of Time, all that stuff.
Right.
So N64 had a lot of great first-party titles. I mean, third-party, you could decide on that if you want, but
You think people are really collecting for the 64, dude?
it's easy to collect for.
It's easy,
It's
yeah.
easy to collect for, so you're not going to break the bank collecting for it. And it's fun.
Okay, I'm gonna disagree. Here's why.
Yeah.
I sound like Stephen A. Smith when I say that. You're wrong, and here's why. My thing is this. So these are all cartridge-based games, right?
Yep.
And the big thing about collecting for cartridge-based games, as opposed to like CDs or like disc games, however you want to call it, is that okay? You want something complete? Well, you have to have a box for it. Like, really think of a 64. You have to have a box for it. You have to have the insert for the box. Now you have to have the manual, and then all the other little shits that come with the manual, the poster, the Nintendo 64 club card or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You have to have that in there. So I don't see people really reaching for that. And the other thing is this. The library, yes, is small for the 64. The boxes are always beat up, so it's hard to get a nice, good condition one. And then there are not that many good games on the 64. Ladies and gentlemen, if you agree with me at this time, please type "bustin' cheeks" in the comments. Okay, but like legit, I think that's the reason why Super Nintendo is hard to collect for right now. Is the box stuff.
People
but
want it complete in boxes. Is what you're saying?
But N64, yeah, people want your Ocarina of Time, people want your Majora's Mask, your Mario 64, your 007, and then after that, it's what? After that is what? What like
after those games, I mean,
yeah. What are you going for, the Razor Scooter game, like in complete in box? Like
N64 had a lot more good games than people give it credit for. I can admit that, but it didn't have enough for me to really warrant, to really be my system of choice.
Right.
And as far as going and collecting for it, I think most people will go for a cart for that system. They don't mind it. What's annoying about the cart for that system though? It doesn't have
no
a top
label. That's why.
It's hard
Another
to keep it
reason I think
uniform.
they won't do it.
But
Okay.
this is where you make your own custom cases. You've seen the custom cases I have.
Yeah.
I made custom cases to keep that stuff uniform. So I think a lot of people will do that if they improvise pretty much. So,
Well, then I'm going to throw this back at you as a counter argument, and it's something that you have said before.
Mhm.
I hope you know where I'm going with this. That takes up too much space, and when you collect something like a PS1, don't take up space, or an Xbox, or hell, look at the Switches that you have over there. They take up like no space.
but those custom cases I'm talking about, even the ones you see right there for the Super Nintendo,
The clamshells, yeah.
yeah, they are uniform to where you can make a lot of them fit in a certain space. So, I honestly think a lot of people will just go for carts only for that type of stuff. They don't care about boxes. I mean, only the hardcore collectors care about having it complete in box or whatnot.
Okay.
So I think it's more of people just if they're collecting for play them, of course, they want just the card only. So
I agree with you on Super Nintendo.
yeah.
And I think what kind of has died down, and really, Reggie, we went to the last 3 or 4 cons together.
Yeah.
We went to the last 3 or 4 gaming expos together. And the very first one we went to, a lot of hype for Super Nintendo.
Yes.
I think the Classic was still out at that point, but still people were still going for Super Nintendo. Then the next one, no.
Yeah.
No. And it's because of that Classic, the fact that people emulating these things now.
Nintendo saw a big demand for their old school games, and they say, all right, let's make a system for it. And what people did when they got those systems, they were able to put the games they wanted on that system and everything. Like when you get that kind of system, I wouldn't necessarily put the full library on there, but put the games you like on there so you can play them off that system. And I think that's what a lot of people did, and they were satisfied because you're playing on original. Well, not original controller, but you're playing on a Nintendo controller or a Super Nintendo controller,
Right.
And it works out great. So,
here's one that I'm going to throw out. It may sound very wild cardish.
yeah,
Sega Dreamcast.
yeah.
I don't see anyone going crazy for that. Like,
Me neither. I mean, I love finding stuff for the Sega Dreamcast.
Same.
But it wasn't a system that lasted too long, and not saying there's not that much out there for it, but everybody who wanted that system pretty much got what they wanted.
Yeah.
For it, at least. I don't remember when the Dreamcast was really hyped up. It was maybe a couple years ago when a lot of people were going after it. But I had already got most of the stuff before everybody got hyped onto it. So
I had got the things that I wanted.
yeah.
Like,
I didn't even plan on collecting for Dreamcast, which is crazy. I've told the story before, but when I had my stuff in the stores, there was this mall next to it, like this little swap meet mall. And when you walk in there, or where I walked in from, there's a clothing store, and it had stuff on consignment. So I looked in there, and there was games in there. I was like, "How much are your games?" She said, "Oh, each game $10." $10. So I looked at it, and I found a rare game in there, which was Ill Bleed.
oh wow.
And Ill Bleed in the Ring was in there. Ring not as rare, or well, it's more uncommon, but Ill Bleed, you never see that. I was like, $10. I was like, yes, here you go. And that was my first Dreamcast. I was like, you know what? This is going to be a fun system to collect for. So that's how I started for it. But it didn't take long for me to get everything I wanted and then bow out of it. So
I also think it's hard to find those games in the wild.
Usually you'll find that kind of stuff at conventions now.
Yeah.
Pawn shops, and maybe mom and pop stores as well. But, like I said, yeah, it's not easy to find in the wild for cheap. Like I found it for $10.
And for Super Nintendo games, they're still at a stable price. It's just no one. Yeah, it's just no one's there. We go to game stores. Like we went hunting this weekend, and it's like, that's still there.
Remember we asked the guy about what games are selling for the they had a Super Nintendo section, right?
Yeah.
And I said are these games selling because they had the high dollar games on the top? He said no, they don't really move too much, but the bottom games move because those are the common ones. Those are what people go for.
Yeah, your Mario Kart, your Super Mario World. Like people want the nostalgia that everyone had.
Right.
Everyone knows like those basic kind of semi-common games.
Yep.
But anything crazy, like, you know, no one's going crazy about it.
Yeah.
So I know what you mean.
Yeah. So Dreamcast, in the comments, folks, let us know if you guys think Dreamcast is still hot, because I feel like I don't know. I remember when it was slightly hot, but I don't know if it's still hot. You know, I think it's not died down.
I think the hottest thing to collect for right now has to be Sega Saturn. That's at the top.
Jeez.
You gotta have money.
Yeah.
You gotta have money, but it's Sega Saturn. Cause like, you know, when we go to the conventions, that's what everyone clears up.
Yeah.
And then after it's
I actually sold my Sega Saturn collection back in 2000. I want to say 13. I had some good games for it. I didn't have many, but I got rid of it. And the reason I got rid of it was because I was playing that sucker, and the battery kept killing the memory.
You told me, yeah.
When you lose memory, man, that's precious.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, dude, it happened for a third time, and I said, I had enough of this shit. I said, get this shit away from me. I don't want to ever see this system again. And my buddy Kyle, he really got me back into the system and everything. So I said, all right, man, Saturn is tight again. But, boy, make sure you back up that memory. Because the thing that happened to me was I backed up the memory because the battery died out, so I backed it up. But the freaking cart went out. I was like, how? This is such bad luck.
That's at a time where we don't have the like translation cards or memory cards that we have today.
Yeah, so it was like, man, I still remember how mad I was. I'm starting to get mad now thinking about it.
So we can come to consensus: Super Nintendo, Nintendo, or the NES, however you want to call it, and possibly Dreamcast.
Okay.